This movie will go through the beginning steps necessary for surface equipment timing. It'll begin with the timing project manager for equipment and calendar definition. The timing project is made up of equipment, calendars, pit attribute groups, timing assignments, and we'll start by defining some equipment for the mining. We'll highlight the word equipment, hit add set, and we'll just call this fleet 1. We'll choose a start date of 01/01/2013, and we'll have it with 2 shifts. We'll add our first piece of equipment, and let's say this is going to be a dragline and truck shovel mine. So we'll just call this dragline 101, and it will mine volume, cubic yards or cubic meters of material. And let's set that up for the 2 shifts. Let's say it works 2 12-hour shifts, and it's about 2,000 cubic yards per hour. Gives us 24,000 cubic yards per shift. We'll hit OK, and we'll add another one. Let's call this shovel 2, also mining cubic yards. This could be up in the pre-strip or the upper overburden benches, and it's a little bit smaller machine. It also works the full 12-hour shifts, but let's say it does about 1,000 or 1,500 cubic yards. There's an extraction factor that's almost every recovery that would be used. We also have an availability telling it what is the percent of the 12 hours that it's actually digging. And also we have the advanced button, but let's go to the drag line and edit that to look at the advanced. There's 3 additional tables on how it can change the rate of the equipment based on simply a date. A lot of the mines in the northern or the extreme regions would slow down the equipment based on wintertime production. The middle table is simply a rehandle table. So based on the thickness of the seam for a dragline, for example, the difficulty will show up to slow down the machine and give you and report out your percent rehandle based on the thickness of the bench. And then lastly, the table on the right is the bench number that it's digging. So I could put in benches 1, 2, 3 and have a difficulty here of 1.11, which would be 10% slower, or a 1.5 difficulty would slow it down, and it tells you that the adjusted rate shows up now. So these are 3 more tables allowed to derate or even speed up the equipment. You could also add a dozer fleet if you're doing any pre-bench or pre-strip. You could also add a coal loading fleet if you have just a coal bench. And we'll have the coal loader mine tons. And let's say we're moving coal only 10 hours a day. And we're doing about 500 tons per hour. If you had just a coal bench in your pits that you want to schedule out, you can define as many equipment as you want. You obviously don't need to utilize them all when you run the schedule. We also have an option to define crews and units separately, so you might have a dragline, but then you could have, say, 3 crews that work on it, a day crew, a night crew, and a third crew. Alright, so the fleet 1 is defined. Now I'm ready to go into the calendar, and let's make a new calendar. We'll just call it Calendar 1. You can have all sorts of different calendars for different what-if scenarios. And this one calendar file contains all of the various equipment. So if I select, for example, the dragline, by default the calendar is working every day, every shift. The green dots on each day signify your 2 shifts. Let's take off Sundays on shovel 2. So I'll click on the first Sunday in my calendar here. It actually pulled into the current day 8/7/11. We'll grab the first Sunday and we'll say shovel 2 on first and second shift due to manually scheduled downtime. I'll repeat that simply weekly for an indefinite amount of time. And let's give it a label so it's descriptive. I'll say shovel 2 off on Sundays and hit apply. Now the two green shift dots are all black and it tells you down below what happened. Shovel 2 is off on Sundays. Then let's go back to January 1st. Let's have everything down on New Year's Day. January 1st every year. I'll say all equipment due to manually scheduled. Repeat this one yearly, indefinitely, and let's say all units off on New Year's Day. And click apply. And so if I was to jump ahead to the year 2015, January 1st is black, signifying nobody's working. The yellow shifts let you know that somebody is up and somebody is down. There's three main reports you can generate from the calendar. You can do a rule report, which reports out all the downtime events. Those are the two I just created. The second report is the year report. So if I wanted to get a year on 2015, a year report on the year 2015, there is a day-by-day event on the year 2015 showing everything that's off and why. It's only the January 1st, the first day of the year, and then shovel 2 is off on Sundays. And the third report is a unit report. And we'll take everything over to the right, report it out, and display. This goes from 2015, the current year I had highlighted, 50 years into the future to 2065, for example, and just a list of all the scheduled worked days, shifts, and hours. Back to the calendar, let me edit that. There is one more thing we can add due to calendar events. If you click the little button next to the due to drop down, you can add additional calendar events. For example, an event key, we can just put in the word maint, and this full description could be annual maintenance. Something that happens every year, maybe 2 weeks in a certain month, the dragline is going to be down for annual maintenance. We'll have it not working, and we'll add another one. The event key could simply be holiday. The description will be okay. So you can add your own drop down due to for reasons of downtimes. That is the equipment definition and the calendar definition for surface equipment timing. Calendar events can also be made under the settings, as well as drawing event types. A drawing event is a piece of text in the CAD drawing that triggers a downtime. So for example, if I want to add a drawing event, let's call this the deadhead. Capture layer will be deadhead. And the description, we'll call it deadhead at end of pit. And it'll be not working. And let's say it takes the dragline 3 shifts to walk back to the beginning of the next pit and start mining again. You could also have it affect additional units, possibly a dozer pre-strip fleet, or the shovel could be down the same amount. Calendar based, we'll look at the calendar to see if there are days off already. So I need to put in a piece of text in this layer called deadhead at the end of the pit. I'll hit OK, and we'll just hit OK to get out of the timing project. So I'll go to View, Layer Control, we'll make a new layer. Called deadhead. Choose it current, and we'll grab a color that sticks out, and I'll just draw some standard text. not the multi-line text, but standard text. And it needs a start point. We'll say right here at the end, midpoint of this pit, we'll put a piece of text. The actual text you write doesn't matter, or does the text size, just the text entity itself. And we'll just put in the same name, deadhead. Came in yellow, let's change it back to color by layer. So there's a piece of text. Make sure that the insertion point is on the line or inside the pit. And you can then do the copy and copy from midpoint to midpoint with the OSNAP settings to midpoint. And so every time the drag line gets to the end of each strip that you see here, it will trigger the event and it will be down for 3 shifts. You can take it a step further. In multi-bench mining, this could be deadhead underscore bench 1. That way just bench 1 is going to have the event, and bench 2 and bench 3, if they are there, will pass through with no delay. Alright, so this completes the timing project manager for equipment definition, calendars, and some settings.